You're listening to Grain of Salt, a podcast hosted by Donnie Bertlis and Chris Glemiseshu, covering the Buffalo-Niagara region's food and drink scene. Today's episode features Tim Stevens, the owner of Ballyhoo, an exciting new bar that opened downtown in the First Ward. Tim talks about his start in the bartending world, the time he spent in San Diego's exciting cocktail scene, why creating a good vibe for a bar is so important, and his fantastic sausage.
Your bar right now is like hands down my favorite place to drink.
That's great.
I love like hanging out there. You've built like a really awesome vibe like inside the bar.
I mean, that was the dynamic is always to have an awesome vibe.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
Yeah.
But we're
yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. I usually see a green light go on or something like that. I'm sorry. Somebody claps twice. We're like, all right. But yeah, the vibe should always be built specific to the room. You don't want people to have to come in and force themselves to acclimate to the room.
Yeah.
You should have the room acclimate to the circumstance going on. So
that makes sense.
We put a couple different ideas into like kind of the design and the layout and how we wanted it to fit into, old school First Ward.
Yeah.
But still invite in a lot of new and creative styles of people and everybody else that's kind of coming downtown for the first time. So
yeah. Because I had never been to the Malamute beforehand.
Right.
So like my first experience with that building was your bar. But it seems like I don't know how much you changed, but it seems like you definitely kept the First Ward essence, I guess.
We definitely changed a lot, and I always appreciate the reaction of someone who's been into the Malamute or was even a regular or employee of the Malamute when they come in now, because they can really see it's pretty dramatic what we did, but when you're confined to small spaces, you have to make the most of them.
Yeah.
So we did take down a wall and stretch the bar out a lot more and dress it up.
That's great.
But like you said, we still tried to keep the vibe of the area,
Yeah.
Kind of a little bit of an industrial, third shift type feel.
Yeah.
And still, be open to everybody that's coming in there. So
Yeah, you don't want to alienate those guys who are, the factory guys or anything like that with like a...
When you're building a social house, that's what it needs to be, and that's only made by the people in it.
Yeah.
You can call it social house, you can call it whatever you want, but it's truly made by the people that are bending an elbow inside. So get them all in there, and I mean... The best moments for me are when there's mixed events going on, and I look across the small space that we have, and the demographic is wild, and they're all having a great time, enjoying what we can offer them, hopefully the best we can, and just getting along. And it's truly it's a great moment to see that. We've never had as much as a shoving match in there.
Nice.
We kind of marshal ourselves because the people that are in there, I think, respect the place as we respect them. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of been the one nice aspect of Buffalo bars kind of maturing, I guess you could say, or people taking cocktails and bartending a little bit more seriously, is that there's less of that bro-y, fighty atmosphere. At least the places I hang out now.
Yeah, but there's also a dividing line between taking it too seriously. That'll make people just as aggravated, I think. So.
Oh, you think so? Like.
Well, I think the education of the customer is as important as the education of the bartender.
Yeah.
We put these things together. We've got a serendipitous moment, but it's not always going to be easy to sell someone a really nice stirred down cocktail and let them know that like this is what you do and this is what you know how to do. You have to kind of let them acclimate to you too. You don't want to be a hard sell on anything that you're doing in this business.
Yeah.
And I think Ballyhoo for that, does a good job, in my opinion, of kind of letting everybody feel comfortable in the same room. Mm-hmm. If you don't want to drink this stirred down 3-part home infused, whatever cocktail, you don't have to. We're going to offer you multiple levels.
It's not just for cocktail nerds or something.
Exactly. We call it drinks for the people.
Okay.
Because we're trying to cover that group, which is humans.
Yeah.
So
was that part of the reasoning for the jam cocktails? Did you think like that was like kind of like
you can do really
like a gateway almost?
I think so, and I think that the tea cocktails that we do as well, we're the same way. You can do very decadent jam cocktails, which I've got some wildly talented friends across the country that have done awesome things with them, but I've never seen a full-on program run where the client or the patron gets to have as much say as they do in what we are executing, quite simply, to be honest with you. Whereas they pick the jam, they pick the spirit, and then we just do the rubric of a little bit of sugar to citrus, balance that out, shake it down, and sell it, and that's it.
Yeah.
I think that they like that option, but they're a little intimidated by it because they don't know if they're going to do it right. They're like, which is it's a way to turn the tables a bit, because normally they come in, they demand a crazy cocktail and have you execute it, and now we're like, no, you decide. And they're like, I think they have a lot of fun with it because there's really no way to mess it up. They all taste. You can have bourbon and grapefruit. You can have rum and gooseberry. I mean, it's fun.
Yeah,
it's
it's
a good
really
time
awesome.
for everybody who does it, and they all taste great.
Yeah, my wife is pretty hooked on them. Like, she's not a big drinker herself. Yeah. She always says like she likes drinks that where she doesn't taste the alcohol.
Yeah,
like she's like that type of drinker, like drinks twice a year. But like she like pounded 2 of them and was like in heaven. Like they're very well balanced. Like they did a great job, your bartenders.
And just remember what you picked the last time you were in there, so the next time we don't have to talk through all of them. But
you don't have to go down the line and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, you get that creativity. It gives them a bit of onus over the whole process too. Like they feel like they have some ownership to the cocktail at that point too, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a choose your own adventure of jam drinks, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that would be very beneficial for like a
It's also a really nice spin on, kind of being able to move out and replace flavored rums and vodkas and things like that. And I know that, we didn't pay attention for a couple decades and things kind of usurped our cocktail knowledge, and we ended up with, Bartles and James and flavored vodkas and things like that. But,
Pinnacle is a large company.
The jam is a fun, preservative-free, kind of old-school way to have fun and get that same flavor profile.
Yeah. Was that a big thing for you, was to focus on the spirits that you wanted to have? I mean, obviously with bar, I think, you've seen like Vera in places where they don't have to have flavored vodkas on the wall. Like obviously from the start, that was like your goal, is like have the spirits that you want to have, and
always.
Not compromise, I guess.
As a bartender that is, as any bartender that's trained or qualified, what you have behind you while you're facing the patron is your toolbox.
Yeah.
That's what you have. Would you ever, if you were fixing a car, put a tool in your toolbox just because everybody thought it was cool or told you that you should totally be working with this tool right now? Like, everybody's using this tool. Well, this doesn't change the engine that I'm working on. So whenever you're designing or building a bar, you have the toolkit that you need to execute that.
Yeah.
If you're doing a tiki bar, you have a wide array of, rums and all kinds of
juices. And
yeah, exactly. But when you're doing a whiskey bar, clearly that's your toolbox.
Yeah.
So to not think about the back bar as an integral part of your setup when you're building the place out is a fail point.
I totally agree. I think like those places that have the $10 cocktails, but then you still look behind and you see like of whipped cream vodka, you kind of like start to think like this place really isn't doing what they're advertising.
That's a lack of information sharing between, if you look at the whole circle of life in running a bar, it goes from the purveyor to the bar owner to the bartender.
Yeah.
Ends up at the bar back somewhere. But there needs to be full communication between all of this, because what somebody gets for free from somebody and is forced to put on a back bar, while the bartender knows he's not going to use it or whatever, you build a format and a program as a team, not separately. So front of the house to back of the house to owners, it all needs to be integrated.
Yeah. So let's start. Let's kind of rewind a little bit. You're a Buffalo guy, correct? Where'd you grow up in?
I grew up in Orchard Park.
Oh, nice. Same here.
Yeah. I was out there.
Go Quakers.
Yeah. Still. Moved. Pretty much started living and moving. Moved in, started working downtown probably 91 when I graduated in 92. Got right into the bar business.
So you went right into it early?
Yeah, right away. So the Icon. Atomic.
Yeah.
When Chippewa had 3 bars on it still. Those were the days when I, cut my teeth basically and got after it.
What was the appeal of the? I'm assuming, were you bartending or?
Well, you start bar backing.
Yeah, true. Yes.
Because that's as it should go. So I had probably 3 years of that, and man, it was ugly back then. But I mean, it was work, and it was something that really appealed to me in a lot of different ways. I mean, I can't really put my finger on what it was, but I think that you either have this lifestyle in you or you don't.
Yeah.
The hours, you could go through the whole entire gamut of what it entails to do this job. But yeah, I fell right into it right away.
Yeah.
So I haven't left it my entire life.
I know you eventually moved out to San Diego, correct? With your, I'm assuming your wife out there.
Nope.
Oh, no?
I kind of went out there to find her, to be honest with you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was a day when I used to own a bar on Main Street called Iberia.
Okay.
Sold that. My dog died at the park.
Oh, jeez.
Broke up with my girlfriend. And at that point, I was sitting here in a Buffalo winter, and I was like, well, I'm going to throw a dart at a map and see what happens.
Wow.
but I was going to pick San Diego anyway. I was like, wherever this dart lands, I'm going to San Diego.
As you're throwing it to San Diego.
Yeah, sold everything. Found out my entire life was worth about $10,000, and moved out to San Diego. Didn't know anybody. Couch surfed and just took it from there, and learned a lot in midlife. I think I was about 32 then, and changed my life though. Everything out there just went crazy. I learned a whole nother way to look at our industry and a whole nother way to appreciate community and what we do.
Yeah.
And it was just a monumental change. When
you were here at bartending, this is before I guess the craft cocktail rise. Like you hadn't found that interest yet in that type of
in the craft style.
Yeah.
No, not yet. It was all in just the fundamentals of bartending.
Yeah.
It was a different time back then, and I look back fondly. But it was also like what I think made me a bartender.
Yeah.
More than any of the craft cocktail stuff, honestly. Like jumping over the bar, breaking up fights, learning to let girls get tired before you break up a girl fight, and then jumping in because you get your face scratched off. I mean, these little things, scary
invaluable,
things.
Invaluable stuff.
But scary things as you're a kid sometimes, but things that I look back on is like, that made me the bartender that I am today. It wasn't, wonderful things happened in San Diego, but the roots, the grassroots happened here in Buffalo for me. So,
damn.
Yeah.
Because I think
if we do an adult podcast, I can get into all the details.
Please.
Yeah,
hey, we don't have sponsors. So. Okay. But no, it's. I think a little gets lost with that kind of bartending as the mixologist is starting to get more popular. Yeah. I think there's maybe a little, I don't want to say lack of respect, but people are forgetting how that is a craft in itself where you have to wear a lot of hats in those scenarios and do a lot of.
Well, it's funny to me, like in San Diego, plenty of times I've had bartenders that I would call, the modern ones that are just learning now, but are well educated. Mm-hmm. Come up to me and tell me that there's somebody that needs to be thrown out of the bar when we don't have a doorman on, and I'm like, well, go throw him out. And they're like, that's not my job. And I'm like, you're the one that got him there.
Yeah.
Like, you obviously need to handle the situation. And they're just completely unprepared for all of that. Puke in the bathroom, like
toilets clogged up.
You can't be above that. Like,
yeah.
In one of Dave Weinrich's books, he has to go into detail about the proper ways to get all the vomit out from behind the toilet, because it takes a certain wrist movement that even as a bar owner, I haven't quite perfected, but I'm getting after it.
Well, hopefully, maybe you don't have to.
Yeah. Well,
fingers crossed.
Better days.
So you go out to San Diego. I'm assuming you just immediately look in the bar world for a gig, or were you even considering changing? Or
no, not at all. Not at all. So immediately, I found that the best way to put your application into a bar is to go into whatever bar, club, restaurant that you want to be at semi-regularly.
Yeah.
Not enough that they think you have a problem, but regular enough. Make friends with all of the staff in there. Leave before you're even close to being inebriated.
Yeah.
Tip well. Come back next day.
Nice.
Repeat process for 2 weeks. Then when you put your application in, somebody behind the counter is like, does anybody know this Tim Stevens guy? They're like, oh, yeah, he comes in all the time. He's totally great. Can handle himself. Tips great. Knows a lot about the industry.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you got at least the ball's rolling.
Do you think that path works in Buffalo? Because a lot of people say you have to know people to be in Buffalo. Yeah.
Well, that's how you know them. You know them slow and low. Over the course.
It's got to be
weeks.
a long play, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I just hired a kid over at my bar that I met in the wildest circumstance in this bar consultation I'm doing in New York City right now. I was at a random bar, and a girl had told me that her friend had just moved back to Buffalo, and he's badass, and I should talk to him. I had one conversation with him over the phone, and now he's working for me. And so it's weird to say that you need to know somebody.
Yeah.
I think that was the old way. I think you got to earn it nowadays.
Yeah.
Like, you can know all the people in the world, but if you're dragging your knuckles behind the bar and don't know anything about 2 3-part drinks, 4-part drinks, that's not gonna. It doesn't matter who you know.
Yeah.
So I'd go more with an earn it type.
That's fair enough. Yeah. Gives me hope maybe one day.
You got to start bar backing. That's it. That's all I'm going to tell you. That wrist motion.
So you're out in San Diego. When does your aspect, does your idea of bartending change out there slowly, or?
Well, I mean, I'll agree that it's a little intimidating. The work ethic's different, but the culture was aggressive, albeit partitioned at that point in time. A lot of money out there, of course. So, and a lot of beautiful venues. So I was very happy and respectful for every place that ever took me within their four walls to run, bartend, whatever the case may be. But
Yeah.
you just got to put your head down and run. And I could get into all the different dynamics of what got me to finally land at Prohibition, where I ended up working with a gentleman named Levi Walker, who I hired. And that's when really this moment happened where we're like, we're just going to do better at everything that we can put our hands on. We're just going to do better. And even if we don't know what better really is defined as right now, let's just do better than what we know.
Yeah.
So it was like a day by day learning process where it was a beautiful moment. And then one day we were like, we're going to start a United States Bartenders Guild chapter. And it sounded ridiculous. And we did, because it wasn't legal at that time to have that many, legal by their own laws, I guess.
Yeah.
To have that many chapters in one state. But California being as long as it is,
Yeah.
it was LA and San Francisco. So we kind of got the ball rolling for that. And it was a really proud moment to see everybody that bartends to a good level or a great level or a poor level, even in one room in San Diego, sit down and kind of put their heads together. It was really nice. So, and that's, I think, changed the landscape of the scene out there. Is ridiculous. I love everybody that's been a part of it. Yeah, it's really
I mean, how long ago was that roughly that I kind of got the
5
ball?
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they have a pretty good cocktail scene going?
It's
or?
incredible.
Nice.
It's incredible.
I've never been to San Diego. I've heard good things.
I would definitely put the word community on that.
Yeah.
It's definitely a cocktail community. I mean,
that's good.
The brother sisterhood of everything that goes on down there is so great. I mean, the camaraderie is second to none. I love it.
A lot of people like not afraid to share like what they've
all.
learned
Not
and
at all.
everything like that. Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah. I mean,
Rising tide lifts all boats.
that's awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, Buffalo has recently had some of that where I think like in the last 3 years, especially at least in the chef world, I don't know about the bartending world, but the chef world has seen that kind of everyone coming together, trying to help everybody out. I think the bartending's kind of coming along with that, but
I mean, we only do better.
yeah.
What's the end result? More people open. Customers are more educated, which I love.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, the consumer coming to the bar and us imparting knowledge to them instead of spinning a napkin in front of them and saying, what can I get you?
Yeah.
When you do that, you've surrendered. You've given up. What can I get you?
Yeah, yeah.
They say the thing they know, and you're assuming that this person isn't educated, bar regular or whatever. Just because it's what you do every day doesn't mean that this person who comes up for 1-2 drinks a week knows. So you can't spin a napkin. You have to light them up.
Yeah.
Be like, what do you normally drink? Let me put you into something. Let's talk about this. If they don't want that, fine. But it's an opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to keep burping into the microphone.
Don't worry about it. We've had worse.
If I sound like I'm gagging, I'm actually just burping off the microphone. Don't worry.
You're just gagging this entire conversation. No, I mean that makes sense. Is it hard to? I mean, at least here locally with Ballyhoo, have you found it easy to train your bartenders to think that way, or?
It shouldn't be, and it can't be that easy.
Yeah.
But, you look for just an open-mindedness from bar staff, even if you've been trained, and I got to do some work with Hutch, up at Hutch's, where I was dealing with guys that have been in the business forever.
Yeah.
That's intimidating. That's one of the most
Yeah, they're kind of set in their
things.
ways a little bit.
You hope not.
Yeah.
But if you're up to just the science of, look, this is how it's made, let's start there and go on from there. You take this information or leave it. I'd prefer that you take it. To where now at Ballyhoo, I'm training a new staff.
Yeah.
Of some kids that have some experience and some kids that don't.
Some green.
I find that's my favorite part of this business. I gotta be honest with you. I really love that education transfer.
Yeah, yeah.
Just telling them that it's not as hard as you're making it to be. Like there is a science tree to making cocktails.
Yeah.
If you can figure that out, it's a matter of just shifting some ingredients left to right.
Yeah.
And you can have so much fun with it if you're not intimidated by it. Like, get to know it, handle bottles well, handle customers well, and then you're going to have the best job that anybody could get their hands on, I guarantee you.
Yeah. Do you almost prefer that they're a little green, where you can where they're more like enthusiastic?
Yeah.
You can kind of.
I mean, when they're already built, sometimes you got to chip away.
Yeah.
Whereas if they're green, you're just building up. So it's one process instead of two.
Yeah.
I don't have to chip away and then build again. It's like,
You have to get rid of the bad behavior.
A lot of times, what you're chipping away, they have total faith in. They're like, well, this guy taught me this, and I really like that guy. And I'm like, in this bar, that guy's wrong. And I hate to break it to you, and I don't want to, because I'm sure that guy's totally cool, but
yeah.
We're going to do it this way. And it's only because this is the way I do it, and this is the way I want us all to do it.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I think that is so important, that all bartenders have to be trained to equal and same level. Because you don't want someone coming in and being like, oh, this guy makes it like this girl makes it like that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's science. It's repeatable.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
So what made you start to think about coming back to Buffalo as a?
I was lucky and very fortunate to be working at 7 Grand in San Diego for Sed Moses, who I still idolize and look up to, is a genius in the business.
Nice.
But there came a reality in my wife's relationship and mine where I was like, we're not going to own a place out here without having 50 partners. And I am just too...
It's just insane.
My mind's too crowded
right?
with ideas right now. And I just can't split that up. Everybody wants to have their 10% of say in whatever business. So I'm like, in talking to friends back here in Buffalo, it seemed like the culture was coming around, which it is, and this tidal wave of creativity and awesome buy-in and like rebirth is just it was a good time.
Yeah, I mean, art boosting in general. There hasn't been a better time to drink in Buffalo than in the last year. Easy.
And I'm a boomerang. Let's be honest. I mean, Buffalo. It's hard to honestly leave forever. You can't. I mean, my family's here. I've got a nephew I have to corrupt. There's a lot of things that drew me back.
Yeah.
And it just so happened my wife is tough as nails. And these are the worst 2 winters, and she's been back for both of them, and this is it. This is what she thinks every winter's like. And
I guess that's maybe good that she's still here.
In stride. She was driving a horse carriage around the block in the first ward the other day because she grew up on a horse farm, so she needs a little horse love every now and then. But
is she's a California gal?
Did I just say she needs a little horse love every now and then?
You kind of did. You might have to
I just wanted to back up and make sure
we might have to cut that out and make a video.
Well, I do what I can.
But no, but I mean, but she's obviously
she's from Northern California.
Yeah, so
But we met in San Diego, and I'm telling you, man, I truly believe in soulmates. She is as solid a rock as a woman as I've ever met in my life.
Awesome.
There is no way I could be running Ballyhoo to the level that I am right now without her help.
That's great.
The amount of work that behind the scenes.
Yeah.
She's not a scenes girl, so she's always like, go down there, talk to people, do your thing, and she's upstairs like crunching numbers and doing everything and making sure everything's ordered and in the next day. So I've heard from plenty of people that are like, oh, this is going to destroy you. And it's really made us as strong as it possibly could.
That's great.
It's really nice, yeah.
And she was all on board for coming to Buffalo.
This girl, you dangle any kind of adventure. Did I just say dangle adventure?
Dangle adventure and horse.
This is getting weird. She's all over it. Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, when we moved here, back here from San Diego, here for her the first time, I had proposed that we buy a old 1972 canned ham trailer and pull it across country with my best friend Kyle and take as long as we want. And she's like, that's crazy. Let's do it. So I bought one and I dressed it up. We bought it with our tax return money.
Wow.
So it was $10. And yeah, I painted the whole thing and redid the inside, and we took about 16 days and zigzagged the states and stopped at distilleries the whole way. That sounds
pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, we stayed at distilleries and breweries. It was amazing, and I could have parked in Orchard Park and driven right back. It was that much fun. You get accustomed to living in this little box. It's the weirdest thing, but every day you open your door and you don't even know where you are because you parked in the middle of the night. And I mean... we named it Dive Across America because I planned on making a mini-series out of it, but we'll see.
One day.
Sponsors, pay attention.
Yeah. Maybe we got some listening.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly jealous. My sister-in-law did a similar thing. It was like a planned vacation, but the idea of just like going everywhere, it just sounds
that was almost the beauty of it was completely like every day was...
You just like figuring out where you're going to go?
And like I said, it was mostly distillery and brewery.
Which, that sounds great to me.
Which took us to a lot of great places. It worked out nice.
Yeah.
It worked out nice.
I bet you make a lot of friends, too. Like, that might have helped later on.
Rewind back to what I was talking about with the USBG when we started that chapter, the way that brought us in touch with all the other chapters across the country and the world with the International Bartending Association. There's probably nowhere that anybody that's involved in that community can't go and be welcomed with open arms.
Nice.
I mean, it's really that cool. You can call ahead to the aviary and, talk to Charles Jolie and be like, hey, man, can I crash at your house? And he'll be like, no, but I know a hotel.
Yeah.
But at least you've got that initial connection.
Yeah.
It's a great community. So, yeah, we did make a lot of friends, and we also caught up with a lot of who were Facebook friends prior to that.
Oh, nice. That's pretty sweet. So you get back to Buffalo. How long did you spend trying to figure out what you wanted to do here? Like, was there like a planning?
I was going to give it 1 year from sticking the flag in the ground back here again.
Yeah.
And literally, I had no investor. I had no business plan. I just knew that we wanted to get after something.
Yeah.
So I had 1 year to find all of that. And through working with Hutch at Hutch's, which was, he's a good friend. And I think that, the upgrades we did there are really great.
Yeah, I've heard great things.
It's an amazing back bar with already an amazing menu and history. So it was, again, tough to kind of work that in. But I met a fellow through that job who got behind me, and we looked at probably 20 different properties.
Wow.
And in each one that I went in, I had a different idea for it. And at one point, he stops me. He's like, "You don't even have a fucking business plan, do you?" And I'm like, "Well, it's not like that. It's not like that." I'm like,
were these places like all over Western New York?
Yeah, no, all over basically Buffalo. Pretty
Okay.
much, southern and northern. But I had to explain to him that, like, you can't go in with a business plan in this industry and try to shove it into an area. You have to look at the area and then find the correct idea that fits there.
Yeah, a spot that. You want the theme to fit the spot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, working with Sed out at 213 Nightlife, with the amount of different bars that we had in downtown LA, and they were all different ideas. That's inspirational, where you're like, you just try to think of the right thing for it. The rubric's the same of food, beverage, but what is that food, beverage? And let's be specific about it, and let's do it right. So he and I ran around town. Sure enough, Ballyhoo was the first place I looked at. Really? And ended up being the one that we took in the long run. So,
was there any other close calls, like other places that you?
There were. There was Scarlett across the street from Mother's.
Oh yeah,
that we looked at, and we got outbid.
Oh wow!
And now it's on the market again. So I think there's forces of nature working for us, because we do have a 25-car parking lot at Ballyhoo.
Yeah,
that area right
huge.
now, man. I'm loving it more and more every day.
That's awesome.
Ohio Street's done. Like once all this snow melts and everything's out of the way, the bike riding, skateboards, joggers, everything. And I really love that traffic, because they still stop and drink beer, first of all. It's just a really good, when life comes back into Buffalo, that's where people want to be. They want to be near the water. They want to be near that type of environment. So
I think when I first found out that you guys were going into that space, there was a part of me that was like curious if it could work. But like, we went down, me and my brother have been there at least 3-4 times. And like, immediately when you get there, like, yeah, this does make sense, because you have the First Niagara crowds, you have the casino, like it's a vibrant area,
and we stick to
especially
our guns.
Canal side.
Yeah, all the options. Getting through winter is the thing.
Yeah,
and everyone's like, you're going to live off Sabres games, and I'm like, well, I don't want that to have to be the case. It doesn't hurt for sure when there's that many people down there, but I don't want that to have to be the case. And we still stuck to our guns of we're selling, I think, definitely craft beers, craft cocktails. Easy, approachable stuff. We haven't changed into just a full-on sports bar. We're there if you want to come there, but we're not just catering to solo cups and just crazy bubbly beer flying everywhere.
Other places that can do that stuff.
And I think that there's a huge demand for that. I think there's a lot of people that want to attend a Sabres game, but don't want to have to be elbow to elbow, fighting and jostling crazy for whatever. I just want educated service for good people.
No, and
Can I have that? Can I have that?
I think you can. But I think it was when we were there, I was like, yeah, this is an awesome area to be in
it's
right now.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And I'm a small room, so when people call for reservations, I'm like, you've never been here before. It's always, we want to accommodate, but it's very much you serve yourself.
Yeah.
Like I said, a true social house.
Yeah.
So when you want something, you come to the bar. I don't have servers. I've got a hardworking barbacks, and we just try to get you everything in good time. And so far, it's been really great. And when people know that that's like the experience that they're in for, they acclimate to it. So they really like that we call their name out over a PA when we're busy. And the other day we had people cheering every time we called a sausage out. I have no idea why. We're like, Rhonda, sausage up. They're like, ah. I'm like, yes, Rhonda.
That's fantastic.
So
as far as the food component, was it always going to be sausage, or did that also depend on the location?
It definitely depended on the location too. Food concepts, I think,
because that's a little bit trickier. I think. Like I don't know how familiar you are with the food aspect of it, but
I am, by virtue of just being in the industry. As long as I am, I know that I'm not a full on back of the house person.
Yeah.
So knowing that, I know that I need to have somebody in my wheelhouse.
Who's got their stuff together?
Exactly. There's no way I'm going to go back there and be like, I'm going to start stuffing sausages today and know what I'm doing. There's no way.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate enough to come across this gentleman, Nathan Root, who I met out in the South Towns when I first moved here, who is also, he's from San Diego.
Oh, wow.
So there's this total, it's crossed. His wife is from here and he's from there.
Wow.
And I'm from here and my wife's from there. So,
was
but
meant
he
to
and
be.
I put our heads down and we came up with these 5 recipes. He and I went back and forth. I kept describing to him the craziest concept I could and he'd keep executing it, nailed it. And now we're going to stick to that for now. Everyone's like, oh, you know what you should? Oh, you know what you should? Oh, you know, you should have a, and I'm like, I'm just going to make these 5 right now.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. And I'm like, the ones that aren't selling will knock off.
Yeah.
They're all selling. There's only 5. What are the odds?
Yeah.
So
right.
it's working out really well. And, you know, I give a lot of credit to him to that menu designing concept. I mean, I couldn't have done it without him. That's for sure.
What about that space said sausage?
What if?
What about that like space in that place? Did you make? Was it immediate? Like this is a sausage?
Oh! What made me come up with that?
Yeah. Well,
gotcha.
I mean, like, because you could like see any of that, see
Right.
that space and try to think of a menu. But like, what was it? That,
Small kitchen. I know I didn't want a deep fryer.
Yeah.
And pizza's played.
I
I
agree.
mean, it's not played, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Unless you're
It's
gonna do something
Buffalo, like-
different, why do it at all?
Exactly. And I'm not sure what I would possibly do different. But anyway, I was, again, there's like 5 different food concepts that are going around my head right now, like a whirlwind.
Yeah.
The one had to just fall there. And with the amount of space that we have in our kitchen that we had to build from scratch, it's smaller than a food truck.
Yeah.
I would be able to do one thing and one thing well. And I put a grill in there. I'm like, I'm not going to make just wieners or, you know, whatever. We're going to do this as custom as we can.
Yeah.
And really take it to the next level. And from the FDA butcher that's 150 yards up the road where we get our meat,
Nice.
Jade Stodman, great guys, awesome company. It comes from them to us, sits for about 12 hours, chilled after being mixed, linked, sold to you with a nice pint of beer and old fashioned or something like that. So
Damn. You can't go
it
wrong.
was
with
kind of ironic. I got to be honest with you. When we moved in there, and I'm like, we got to find a good butcher.
Yeah.
And I literally didn't even make it to the end of the block. And I was like, there's one. And went in and met Todd, and he's amazing, and he's been taking such good care of us.
That's
And
awesome.
On nice days, he'll walk down the delivery himself if it's just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, like, me and my buddy DJ, he's the chef at Shango. Like, that's kind of like our go-to place to drink now when he gets off his shift.
Okay.
And we are both hooked on the short rib sausage.
That one is really hitting it.
It's insane how
Hitting it
good
out
that
of the
thing
park.
is.
Yeah.
So I have to say, like, awesome job. Like, because
But isn't the chicken one good too?
see, I got hooked on the short rib, so that's like that's like
no,
my
I mean,
go-to.
I got to be honest with you. I love that one too. That's probably, definitely that's our best seller.
Yeah,
But it's such a good balance.
Yeah.
I mean, the spices, the flavors.
the kimchi on there, like,
So good. And there's pickled veg, and it's not too hot. It's just right.
Yeah, yeah.
I really do like that
Yeah.
one, so I don't blame you.
it seems like a lot of thought went into it because I remember when I went, I wrote about it, and you had to like message me like literally the day before, not knowing that I had, I think, visited.
Yeah.
and you are still like,
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Are you guys going to come by and try that?
yeah, I think,
Yeah.
and I like sent you the link that day. I was like, yeah, we just posted.
It was,
It's
you
like-
know, it's been a growing 6 months for us, whereas when we first started, we had a different role.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
And this is what I always observed when I was, because you have to be hands-on as an owner. If you're not, you're immediately failing. But running around, grabbing the baskets off the tables, and looking at what was in there, it was always piles of bread.
Yeah.
Piles of bread. And I could tell going out, I'm like, there's just, you know, I wanted to use these rolls, but they're just too big.
Yeah.
They're too irregular in size. And then we went down to a different size, and it's been great.
Yeah, that was awesome. It was just
changes.
awesome to see that you had that much of the detail, I guess, of what was going on. Or,
Yeah,
or,
usually
and things like that.
talk to any one of my staff. I am like a psychopath at closing. It has to look like we just built the bar every night when we're closed. I wouldn't say OCD yet, but I'm probably about a year away from full-on white glove, everything. There's nothing like getting a high five from the health department when they walk out.
Oh yeah,
I love it. Yeah, we just had one 2 days ago, and she's like, "What up?" So it's good, especially when you're grinding and linking and doing all of that.
Yeah,
That-
God,
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, whenever you're preparing food.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's be honest.
yeah. But no, I think that was as I've like eaten more and more. Like what I want are places that don't do everything, that don't give you a menu that's like 40 pages long.
Yeah.
I just want somebody who does one thing really well, and like that's like simple.
That's it.
Yeah. And I like that.
And you know what? Back in the
reason I
day,
love your
that used to
place.
be mom and pop shops.
Yeah.
It's just we've gotten so conglomerate nowadays that we're trying to make everybody happy all the time.
Exactly.
And the reality is that's just not possible.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to specific places for specific things. If you want everybody in the house, then you need to open 47 specific things because there's just no way to do that, I think, successfully.
I agree. Yeah.
And really get quality control and everything out of the deal. So I really, like the taquerias in San Diego.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I'd bring friends to them, and they'd be like scared. They're like, "I'm not going in there." I'm like, "No, you're coming in here because they do one thing and they do it the best in the world. Let's go right now.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid. Get it out there. Do it right."
Nice. That's awesome.
So that said, there's a lot of concepts
Yeah.
that need to still come.
Yeah. So, how long have you guys been open? About 6?
September.
Coming up on 6 months.
It's
Yeah.
about 6 months. We're still gonna have our grand opening. I swear. We did a soft opening that never ended. Did I say soft opening?
You guys could have like the grand opening of like the year.
Yeah,
Like the year
I like
anniversary.
That. I like that better.
I mean, you're 6 months in. Like, what else do you want to do with Ballyhoo? Like, do you see that this is the start and you have more things planned for the future? Or?
Well, I think other things planned is a better way to put it.
Yeah.
I think, for Ballyhoo, again, I don't mess with things for a long-term period. I think people sweat too short amounts of space. Like, if they have a slow month, they suddenly think everything's wrong. It's like you have to be more patient than that. Things don't turn around in the restaurant business for 6-month periods. Mm-hmm. I mean, and I know here that's seasonal, so...
Yeah.
But you have to still, wait. And especially with my menu right now being brand new, I'm not panicking. I'm not trying to put a buffalo chicken wing sausage on there. God bless them. I'm not going to do it. We're going to do what we do and just kind of ride it out.
Yeah.
The response has been really good, so there's no reason to try and tweak the engine faster.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it running consistent.
And it also seemed like you kind of opened pretty quietly. Like, you didn't...
Yeah, like I said, we just opened. So one day we're like, hey. Took down the scaffolding.
If you want a beer.
Yeah, come on in. And then all of a sudden, it got going and going, And,
Yeah.
And I'm still not trying to do a banging, advertising campaign or anything, because we're not the be-all, end-all of restaurants in Buffalo.
Yeah.
We're just trying to do what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's it. And if what we're doing is something that appeals to you, then by all means, come by.
Yeah.
So there's not some big media blitz or, we're not going to go crazy yet. It's a small room. Let's maintain it.
That's awesome. And I have to say, honestly, it's probably my favorite place to hang out and have a drink.
I appreciate that.
And
That's great.
We cannot recommend it enough. My buddy was in town from New York City, and he was like, we were trying to figure out a place for him to go, and I was like, check out Ballyhoo. I think you'll really like it. And he was like, he fell in love immediately.
Great.
As soon as he walked in.
We realize you have a lot of choices in the consumption world out there, so we appreciate you coming to Ballyhoo.
Oh no, it's my pleasure. You guys
I
did a
think I
great job.
learned that somewhere.
Awesome. Well, I think we pretty much covered the whole gamut.
Oh, okay.
But I thank you so much for coming down here. This is awesome to talk to you. I finally get to meet you in person, face to face.
Pleasure.
Yeah, and keep up the great work. I mean, Ballyhoo's kicking ass, and
thank you.
I can't recommend it enough. Honestly, it's a great place.
Anytime.
Yeah,
we're there
sausage and cocktails and
Drinks
really
for
awesome beer. The beer list is fantastic.
One in, one out. We rarely have anything on for a double keg turn.
Yeah,
So,
that was my one thing where I walked in and I was like, I love all of this beer.
Yeah.
Because I'm a pretty big beer geek. So
And because we only have 12 going, almost every time you walk in there, there's going to be something. Definitely, always something new on the board. So
that works for me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, man.
Cheers. You got it, bud.
Cheers.